I invite everyone to embark with me on the fascinating journey through the story of Jacob. Biblical stories, rich in biblical teachings, offer a deep connection with the human experience. The Bible, with its engaging narrative, transports us to ancient times, revealing wisdom that still illuminates our lives today. Get ready to explore every detail of the Bible's story, delving into the events that shaped Jacob's path. Let's discover together how these biblical stories can transform our worldview, awakening emotions and deep reflections. Isaac, with a heart full of hope, raised his prayers to the Lord, seeking the blessing of conception for his beloved wife, Rebekah. In the intimacy of these biblical stories, we see a powerful example of faith and perseverance. Isaac's fervent cry did not go unanswered, and the Bible tells us that the Lord answered his pleas, causing Rebekah to become pregnant, bringing new life and hope to the couple. During her pregnancy, Rebekah felt an intense struggle within herself, and in her anguish, she sought divine guidance. Biblical stories often show us that, in moments of uncertainty, seeking the Lord's wisdom is essential. The Lord revealed to Rebekah that in her womb there were two nations, foreshadowing the future of Jacob and Esau. This revelation brought a deeper understanding of the divine designs and the role of these brothers in the history of the Bible. Throughout this narrative, we see how biblical stories are full of biblical teachings that transcend time. The Bible teaches us that, even in the midst of trials, faith can bring answers and comfort. Isaac and Rebekah's experience reminds us of the importance of prayer and trust in divine plans, a valuable lesson for any of us who face challenges and uncertainty in life. The winds of destiny brought to light two twin brothers, Jacob and Esau, whose biblical stories would intertwine in a complex plot of love, rivalry, and redemption. At birth, Jacob firmly held Esau's heel, a foreshadowing of the intense relationship that would accompany them throughout their lives. The Bible offers us this powerful image, symbolizing the struggle for prominence and the profound spiritual implications of this gesture. Esau, with his robust and wild nature, became a skilled hunter, a true man of the field. Jacob, on the other hand, preferred the tranquility of the tents, reflecting a more introspective and serene personality. Biblical stories reveal to us how these differences manifested themselves in their lives and in the choices each one made. The Bible shows us that, even with contrasting personalities, both played significant roles in the great divine plan. The narrative of the birth of Jacob and Esau is more than a simple account of their arrival into the world. It is a profound example of how divine providence shapes our destinies from the first moments of life. As we look into these biblical teachings, we realize that the story of the Bible is full of lessons about purpose and identity, showing that each individual has a unique and valuable role to play in the great tapestry of life. In the heat of an exhausting day, Esau returned from the field, hungry and exhausted. He found Jacob, his brother, preparing a red and aromatic stew. Biblical stories often capture moments of human weakness to teach profound lessons. Esau, in a time of urgent need, asked Jacob for some of the stew, willing to do anything to satisfy his hunger. Jacob, shrewd and perceptive, saw an opportunity and proposed a surprising deal: the sale of Esau's birthright in exchange for the stew. Esau, without reflecting on the long-term consequences, agreed to the deal, disregarding his birthright for a simple plate of food. The Bible, in its wisdom, uses this episode to illustrate the importance of valuing our blessings and gifts. Esau traded something of incalculable value for momentary satisfaction, a lesson that resonates strongly in our daily lives. How many times, driven by the urgency of the moment, do we neglect biblical teachings and make hasty decisions? This remarkable exchange between the brothers not only alters the course of their lives, but also reminds us of the choices we make every day. Biblical stories, rich in teachings, encourage us to reflect on what really matters. The story of the Bible invites us to consider our own priorities and the importance of maintaining a long-term perspective, valuing the blessings we receive and avoiding the temptation to exchange the eternal for the ephemeral. Isaac, already advanced in age and with weakened vision, felt that his time was coming to an end. He called his firstborn son, Esau, and asked him to go to the field to hunt an animal and prepare a tasty stew, and then bless it. This blessing, in the biblical stories, was more than words. It was a transfer of divine destiny and favor. The Bible shows us the importance of this ceremony, full of deep and eternal meanings. Rebekah, listening to the conversation between Isaac and Esau, devised a plan so that Jacob, her favorite son, would receive the blessing intended for Esau. She instructed Jacob to disguise himself as his brother, using animal skins to imitate Esau's fur. Jacob, following his mother's instructions, took the stew to Isaac and deceived his father, receiving the blessing. The biblical teachings here are complex, showing how human actions can interfere with divine plans, but also how God's providence manifests itself in unexpected ways. When Esau discovered the deception, his heart was filled with bitterness and fury. He begged for one remaining blessing, but Isaac sadly explained that he had already given everything to Jacob. The story of the Bible shows us the depth of human emotions and the consequences of our actions. Biblical stories teach us about repentance, pain, and the search for redemption, encouraging us to reflect on how we treat our own blessings and relationships. After dramatically obtaining his father's blessing, Jacob was forced to flee for his life. Esau, consumed with anger, promised revenge, and Rebekah, fearing for her son's safety, advised Jacob to go to the land of Padan Aram, where his uncle Laban lived. Biblical stories often portray moments of transition and escape, showing how divine providence guides the steps of his chosen ones. The Bible reveals to us that, even in the midst of fear and uncertainty, God has a plan for each of us. While traveling, Jacob saw an extraordinary vision, a ladder extending from the earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending it. At the top of the ladder was the Lord, who made him a promise of protection and prosperity. This vision, full of symbolism, reinforces biblical teachings about the connection between heaven and earth and God's constant surveillance over his people. The story of the Bible here is clear. Even in the darkest times, there is always a light of hope and a promise of divine care. Jacob went to Padan Aram, where he would begin a new phase of his life. Biblical stories show us that physical journeys often reflect spiritual journeys. The Bible teaches that by moving away from dangerous or oppressive situations, we are often moving toward growth and the fulfillment of God's plans for us. Jacob's story encourages us to trust in divine providence and move forward, even when the path seems uncertain and challenging. Upon arriving in Padan Aram, Jacob found a new world of challenges and opportunities. He came across Rachel, the daughter of his uncle Laban, and immediately fell in love with her. Biblical stories often highlight destiny-changing encounters, and the Bible tells us that Jacob agreed to work 7 years for Laban in exchange for Rachel's hand. This period of service, although arduous, passed quickly for Jacob due to his love for Rachel, showing how biblical teachings tell us of the transformative power of love and devotion. However, Jacob faced a great mistake. On the night of the wedding, Laban replaced Rachel with Leah, his eldest daughter. The discovery the next morning brought frustration and disappointment, but Jacob, determined to marry Rachel, agreed to work another 7 years. Biblical stories show us here the importance of perseverance and resilience. The Bible teaches us that, even in the face of obstacles and disappointments, determination and faith can guide us towards our goals. During his time with Laban, Jacob prospered, not only in terms of material wealth, but also in raising a large family. Leah and Rachel, along with their servants, gave Jacob many children who would become the tribes of Israel. Biblical stories are rich in detail about the complexities of family relationships and the challenges of everyday life. The Bible shows us that, even in the midst of conflicts and deceptions, God's blessing can manifest itself, bringing growth and prosperity. After many years of faithful and hard service, God instructed Jacob to return to the land of his fathers. This divine order, full of promises and challenges, signaled the beginning of a new chapter in the biblical stories of Jacob. The Bible shows us that Jacob, obedient to God's will, gathered his family and his possessions, ready to face the unknown. This return symbolized not only a physical displacement, but also a spiritual reunion with their roots and their destiny. During the return journey, a tense argument arose between Jacob and Laban. Laban, feeling betrayed by Jacob's abrupt departure, pursued him and demanded explanations. However, after a frank conversation, the two made a peace pact, promising to respect and protect each other's interests. Biblical stories often portray such resolutions, showing that, even in the midst of conflicts, the search for understanding and peace is fundamental. The Bible teaches us the importance of reconciliation and the ability to resolve disputes fairly and honestly. Jacob's return to Canaan also marked the fulfillment of divine promises. By making peace with Laban, Jacob demonstrated that true strength lies in faith and trust in God's plans. Biblical stories are rich with examples of how obedience and faith can transform our lives, guiding us back to the right path, even after periods of uncertainty and tribulation. The Bible encourages us to follow divine commandments, knowing that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. As he approached his home, Jacob faced one of the greatest fears of his life, the reunion with Esau, the brother he had deceived and betrayed. To prepare, Jacob sent messengers ahead with gifts, hoping to appease Esau's anger. Biblical stories often show how prudence and preparation are vital in times of great tension. The Bible teaches us that when facing our past mistakes, we should seek reconciliation with humility and generosity, hoping for the best but prepared for the worst. This act by Jacob reveals his sincere desire to repair the broken relationship. The night before the meeting, Jacob isolated himself and fought a singular and intense battle. He fought a mysterious being until daybreak, a fight that symbolized more than a physical confrontation. It was a spiritual and emotional battle, reflecting his fears and regrets. At the end of this strenuous fight, the being blessed Jacob and changed his name to Israel, meaning he who fights with God. Biblical stories offer us this powerful metaphor for transformation, showing that our greatest internal battles often precede our most significant victories. To prepare, Jacob not only organized his possessions, but also sought spiritual reconciliation. He knew that to be reconciled with Esau, he needed to first make peace with himself and with God. The Bible teaches us that before seeking external peace, we must find internal peace by facing our deepest conflicts. Jacob emerges from this struggle with a new identity and a renewed faith, ready for any outcome of the encounter with Esau. At the long-awaited meeting, Esau surprised Jacob by welcoming him with an affectionate hug, dispelling years of fear and tension. This gesture by Esau reveals the depth of grace and brotherly love. The story of the Bible shows us the power of forgiveness, demonstrating that even the deepest offenses can be healed through love and compassion. Esau chose the path of reconciliation, restoring the relationship between the brothers and reinforcing biblical teachings on the importance of forgiveness. This meeting between Jacob and Esau reminds us that forgiveness is a powerful force, capable of transforming lives and repairing broken bonds. Biblical stories show us that reconciliation is a divine path to healing and peace. The Bible encourages us to follow the example of Jacob and Esau, facing our fears, seeking redemption, and extending the hand of forgiveness. By applying these teachings, we can find peace and harmony, both with others and within ourselves, inspired by Jacob's journey. Jacob's journey, with its dramatic twists and moments of deep introspection, offers us an invaluable treasure of biblical teachings. Each episode, from his early struggles with Esau to his mystical experiences and transformative encounters, illustrates how biblical stories are intertwined with our own lives. The Bible, rich in wisdom, shows us that despite failures and mistakes, there is always a way back to grace and divine purpose. I invite you to reflect on how the lessons from Jacob's story can be applied to your own life. Have you considered the power of forgiveness and reconciliation in your relationships, or the importance of persevering even in the face of the greatest adversity? Biblical stories challenge us to live with faith, to trust in divine providence, and to continually seek personal transformation. How about applying these lessons today, perhaps by reconciling with someone or persevering with a difficult goal? If you found this journey through the story of the Bible inspiring, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you can continue exploring biblical teachings and discover even more biblical stories that can transform your life. Your support is essential so that we can continue to bring rich and uplifting content. Leave your comment, share your reflections, and participate in this community that seeks to grow and learn together.